It's the most talented member of the band.
You update your status every 12 seconds.
It's always happy.
I'm just not that interested, so I don't.
That's why I won't do that mobile, man.
That was my gift
Like it knows where you're at.
My little alien friend.
Do you rather me sit on the couch and get it tightened up, or?
No, we're all right. So whenever you're ready.
As he gets up.
Okay.
I had something in my pocket that was...
Good timing.
You don't need this.
Okay, I am here with Curse Icon. I'm doing this interview for Ebony Jeanette PR. Hey guys. How are you? Okay, I'll get this started. How did the five of you come together, and how did any personnel changes affect the sound of the band?
Personal ads. No, just kidding.
How did the five of us come together? Well, Kiana and I met in Florida, South Florida, and we started the band in South Florida, and we had some changes we made back then, a few years back, and one of the changes was moving, and we moved to Ohio for just for touring. Like, it was really hard to tour in South Florida because all you could do was go to the water, and that was it. So basically in Ohio you got like a lot bigger geographical radius to like spiderweb out from. So that's why we decided to make that move. And then we had a couple personnel changes, and then we've gotten this group of guys, which is basically been the really strong, the strongest formation of the band. And basically just the sound has changed just because everybody's on the same page a lot more, a little more musical, a little more theory behind it. So I can let them elaborate on how the sound has changed, but that's pretty much the Cliff Notes version of how we came together.
The Mark Notes.
Yeah.
The Mark Notes.
Jim and I actually used to be in a band formerly, and that band broke up, and right when it did, Jim joined this band, and they, at the time, lost a guitarist. They needed someone else, and so Jim he calls me up and he's like, hey, do you want to try out for this band? And I'm like, of course, that would be awesome. And plus I might have, slightly better chance if I know one of the guys who's already in the band. So I went through about, 75 auditions, and then finally made it. I had a lot of competition, and like just when I thought I was in, there'd be some other guy who was like better at guitar than me or something, but he didn't have a car, and I'm like, sweet. So I got in, got lucky, and then that worked out. Shortly thereafter, we had another lineup change.
Yeah, I'm the newest member. I think I had about 1.5 auditions and I got in.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's all about.
You're just way better.
Obviously.
We had an upcoming show. We had a show coming up at the Newport, I think, and it was like, he's got amazing gear. He's rock solid. He's a cool guy. You're in. And then I just cried myself to
How
sleep.
much am I going to have to pay you when this is over?
About a week. 6-pack.
Also, when Jason auditioned, he had a combo amp, and that's all he had. And boy, how things have changed.
Yeah. I had to prove, like, they didn't know that I'm obsessed with gear, and I was like, guys, trust me, I'm going to get like this amp and this cab, and they're like, yeah, right, dude, that's like $3,000, and I'm like, that's what school loans are for.
Now he's going to get his own trailer and his own van.
And then all of a sudden, one practice, he comes here and he says, hey
Oh,
guys,
yeah.
want to help me load? Unload
They
my
always,
car?"
every time we load the trailer, it's like, the trailer's almost full because of all Jason's stuff. Jason gets one more piece of gear, we're going to have to get a new trailer. But I don't care, I do it anyway.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wowza.
Now, what were any bumps in the road due to the changes? You talked a little bit about that, but were there bumps?
I would say the recording process was interesting for Matt and I.
Yeah, actually,
specifically.
when I first started with the band, I got in like the end of May, and the first week of June we started on this EP, The War Inside, that's out right now, and I was still learning how to play some of those songs.
Yeah.
I got put in the studio, and I was, after Marco, I was the second one to track, so I was sitting with the producer, and he's asking me, like, well, what do the vocals sound like in this part? I don't know.
Yeah.
What's the other guitar part doing? I said,
We
I don't
felt so dumb. Like, he's like, we had these songs, and we were trying to remember like what kind. I literally I have this crappy like 1990 tape player. It's a little boombox that actually has a tape player, and that's what I would record my ideas on since I was like 12 years old, and I still use it. And to remember like what lead guitar parts I came up with, I brought that to the studio, and like before I had to go record, I'm like looking for an outlet. I'm like, hold on, and I like plug it in, and I'm like literally pressing buttons, like rewinding it and playing it, and like listening to the guitar solo that I made up. Like, yeah, that was how that
sitting
went.
in a room full of hundreds of thousands of dollars of
and the guy's
top-of-the-line
just
equipment, and we're using something that's been outdated for 25 years.
It was something like, I was in school at the time, and it was right after finals week. I actually had to take my finals early to be able to go to the studio and record. So I was, needless to say, I was like grouchy and stressed out like when I got there, and I'm there, and I had made up these parts like 5 days ago, just made them up, then didn't play them because I was studying, and then it's like, go record it. So I had this tape player, and I'm just like looking like a...
The producer was less
looking
than
like a
impressed
tool,
with
yeah. But then the thing
our
was
abilities
like,
that week.
it was cool because it was really stressful at first, but then we ended up, because he's a producer, he helped us change some things around, and he would be like, well, you know, I think this part could be stronger, let's do something different. And we made up a lot of stuff in the studio, and it was really rewarding because it felt like, you know, you got to have more of it that has your name on it. Because the songs were partially written when we joined the band, and so some of the things we were recording were already there, and then but we got the chance to make up some new things in the studio. So
it was a little
really
intimidating
cool.
being in the band for like a week and a half and being the guy that's like rewriting songs. Yeah, it's but you know what? It worked out really well, and I think all the songs turned out really good. I knew I was either going to get fired or we were going to do something with it.
I'll just never forget the whole studio thing. Is I had been in the band playing the songs with Mark and Keanu before Matt and Jason came, and we played through the songs over and over again. And I finally got them all down. And I remember getting a phone call from Matt and Jason, and they're like, "Oh yeah, tracking went real well. Except the one song we changed the key of the song." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, yeah, you got to relearn your part before you track your bass. And I'm like, oh no. I mean, so it was a small little bump, but I mean, it was nothing that difficult. But yeah, it was interesting.
It brought us closer together in the end.
Well, farther apart at first, and then closer together later.
like a heart. So, yeah, sorry that was late.
What was the first song that you five wrote together? And what was that like? You know, when it came together.
That's a secret.
Oh, it is? Okay. Okay.
Which one was it?
I didn't clear that one with Marco, sorry.
Well, I mean, again, like they said, you know, a lot of things got reworked in the studio. Most of the shells of the songs on the Warren Side EP were already there, and it was one of them things where it was like, you know, we need to get new material out. You're talking about what are the bumps and roads. One of the biggest bumps and roads is just when someone left, or you know, we had to make a change or something like that. Just the downtime. You know, it's you know, you've got this momentum, then you got to stop, and then you got to build it again, then you stop, and then you got to build it again. And one of those bumps and roads was like trying to get new material out. You know, we sat on one record for way too long, and then. So the goal was just to get new material out there as soon as possible. So we had shells of X amount of songs, and we went in there. So like the Warren Side was kind of like basically rewriting more than it was writing from scratch together. But currently we're working on like all new material. You know, we've been writing madly for 5 months now in between pockets of time we have between shows and things like that. We don't have a lot of time, but we try to utilize that time. And you know, we've got a bunch of new like songs that we're working on, and it's pretty cool.
We're
It's
excited
really
about,
exciting.
yeah. And hopefully
So-
we're hoping to be in the studio
Soon.
very soon. So we're going to do the goal is to do another 5 to 6 song EP. And
Have that out maybe in the
ASAP.
spring, late winter, hopefully.
But for me personally, when we write a new song together for the up and coming album that we're working on, it's just like I get anxious as soon as we get done because I want to play it. I want to show everybody like, hey, this is what we all did. But there's a lot of work, a lot of time. You know, we rethink parts and make sure everything, kind of jives well, flows well. So, but
Well, we've learned from our last studio experience too that a lot of this stuff can change so much.
Oh yeah.
We're probably not going to play anything until we get it recorded because it might be a completely different song by the time we get through the studio.
Yeah, that was what was really challenging. Like some of the songs were finished and being played live before we recorded them.